It is official now. Super Strong Style 16 is in the rearview mirror, and I think we can look back on this weekend of wrestling as not only being chock-a-block full of events, but as a really, really strong weekend for not just British wrestling, but wrestling in general, because this was a special weekend. Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about Progress Wrestling Super Strong Style 16 Night 2. My apologies, I didn't have this up last night. I'm recording it now in the day, and I've had some time to think on it, time to breathe on the event and think about everything that happened and how I think that plays out and what we're going to get in future. But this is my review of the show as a whole, and I will dive into my thoughts in just a moment. But before I do, please hit subscribe, please like this video, please comment your thoughts down below on Super Strong Style 16 and let me know if you were there, and I will try and reply to every single one of them as we dive into this Super Strong Style 16. So I thought it was a very, very strong first show. The first night of Super Strong Style 16 was really, really good. It had some great matches, some potential match of the year contenders like Kid Lycos versus Mark Haskins, for example. So there was a lot to follow. There was quite a lot to follow in night 2 of Super Strong Style, and I think whilst I didn't enjoy this night as much as night 1, I do think night 1 was my preferred event. Some of the angles and matches on this show I thought were really, really good, and then there's one match in particular, that main event, that I can near enough guarantee will be on my match of the year contenders because it was a goddamn barn burner. I loved a lot of the character work throughout this show, particularly with Luke Jacobs, but in terms of the match standards, there were a few bits that didn't sit right with me personally, but I think overall the story that they told throughout Super Strong Style 16 was really, really good. So I'll dive into this right now, the way a review works, and I will tell you my thoughts on the matches and the angles, everything that happened, starting with the opening match, which was Eddie Dennis versus Tate Mayfairs. Now, this was pretty good. I thought this was pretty good, following on from what happened at last night. No, it's not last night. The previous show. There was a lot of playing up the fact that Tate Mayfairs could potentially knock out Eddie Dennis with that flying knee like he did to Casey Navarro. And I think that played in really well. This was a really fun match. Eddie Dennis really fired up the crowd from the beginning by not letting Jerry Bakewell do the ring announcements. Instead, he just said, "I'm Eddie Dennis, you're Tate Mayfairs, let's fight." And that really started the crowd off really hot. And then Tate Mayfair sort of took control. It looked like he was going to win because he hit the huge flying knee, the one that knocked off Casey Navarro. And then it looks like the ref's going to stop it. He's checking on Eddie Dennis to see what's wrong. And Tate Mayfairs was a bit sort of distraught by that. He's like, "Come on, I want to get to win. I want to win." And then Eddie Dennis manages to roll up Tate Mayfairs for the 1-2-3, eliminating Mayfairs. I thought this was really good. I thought this worked really well, what they were looking to accomplish, and it played in to more storyline potential moving forward, which we'll get to in Eddie Dennis's next match. I thought this was a really strong way to open the show, and it was really hot. Then we got a match that I was very, very excited for, and that was Kid Lycos 2 taking on Luke Jacobs, following Luke Jacobs' heel turn, and this was as great as I wanted it to be. I was almost hoping for this to just be a decimation, Luke Jacobs decimate Kid Lycos 2, but no, instead this was sort of a pretty evenly balanced match, but you did have Luke Jacobs going in there and utterly wrecking Kid Lycos 2 at some point. You had some great spots in here, like a big top rope Frankensteiner from Kid Lycos 2. Some really great hope spots where it looks like he might get the win, but in the end Luke Jacobs just destroyed the poor man with, I believe, 2 insanely powerful lariats for the 1-2-3, and he advances in the tournament as well. I pretty much knew that was going to happen. My predictions for these shows were pretty bad, but I did correctly pick the winner, and I did correctly pick the final, which I'm quite proud about. And yeah, Luke Jacobs advanced. This was really good. Really enjoyed this. Next up, we got Ricky Knight Jr. taking on Mike Santana in their Super Strong Style 16 semi-final match. I thought this was really good. It's nice seeing Mike Santana wrestle. Like, it was really nice seeing him wrestle the other night and it was nice seeing him wrestle here, and he's taking on Ricky Knight Jr., who was one of my favourites. This was really good. I don't really have much to say about this. There wasn't as much story in this match as sort of I thought it would have, but I really enjoyed this. It didn't go too long. It was exactly what it needed to be to establish Ricky Knight Jr. and give him a big win moving forward, because he did pick up the win, beating Mike Santana, and I think that's incredible. That's the right choice to get us to the final that we got to, and yeah, couldn't be happier with this result. Pretty okay match. It only went under 5 minutes, but it was really, really strong. Then we have probably what is the most controversial match of the show, and that is Man Like DeReiss versus Shelton Benjamin. This was really, really hot to open. You had DeReiss come out to an insane reaction. He didn't have his typical music, and it was just electric in the Electric Ballroom. He dyed his hair blonde, said he was going to be the gold standard of British wrestling, which I thought was awesome. And then the match itself was really, really good. I think there was a bit in the middle where it seemed like they lost their way. Maybe they lost a bit of communication that was going on, and it got a little bit sloppy, a little bit slow. And then the finish, it was DeReiss hitting a pay dirt. He hit a pay dirt on Shelton Benjamin for a great near fall. And that seemed to flip a switch in Shelton Benjamin, and he just starts battering DeReiss, pushes the ref, and then he gets DQ'd. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't a massive fan of this. I wasn't a massive fan of this for a few reasons, because I don't really like DQs in tournaments in general. I think can be a little bit of a booking crutch in a way. I don't think this hurts anyone from losing, because it's a tournament with some of the best wrestlers in the world. And I just think the way it was executed was a little weird. The way Shelton sort of pushed the ref, and that was enough to cause a DQ. It wasn't like he clocked the ref or hit his finisher on the ref or something. It was just a push, which I feel like I've seen worse from people to referees. And that causing DQ was, yeah, a bit iffy. It gave DeReiss a bit of story going forward, because obviously his leg was destroyed by Benjamin. It was wrapped around the ring post. And yeah, I just think going forward, if Shelton Benjamin comes back, I think there's storyline potential there. Maybe they're going to have matches in other promotions. But since Shelton Benjamin didn't show his face again on the show, it felt a little bit weird. So I hope we get some sort of follow-up to this with Shelton Benjamin maybe coming back for a match or two in progress. That'd be nice. But overall, this didn't necessarily work for me. Then we got the big old ladder match, the four-way ladder match, as Kanji took on Lizzie Evo, who took on Nina Samuels, who took on Riho for the Progress Women's Championship. This was a crazy, crazy ladder match. This was just insane spot after insane spot. They beat the living hell out of each other in this match. It was brutal to watch at points. Like, these ladders had no give. These were not sort of gimmick ladders. They looked like real ladders, and it looked like it hurt a lot. Particularly the big spot of the match, which I think was Nina Samuels getting almost urinagied from the ladder onto a ladder bridge, which looked like it sucked. There was a really nice funny bit at the beginning where they all go to grab ladders and Lizzie Evo only pulls out a step ladder. That was really funny, and then it looked like it was coming back further in the match when she goes to grab that step ladder again and she starts using it as a weapon, so it looked like it was coming around that way. My only issue with this match overall is I do feel like it went nearly 30 minutes. There were a few points where I thought, okay, this is the ending. I think it's peaking now, and it didn't. It sort of kept going on. I think there was some instances in this match where you could have had a legitimate winner and had a really fulfilling ending, because the crowd seemingly turned about halfway through this match, and there were dueling chants for Kanji and Lizzie Evo, and neither of them ended up winning. Nina Samuels and Kanji cancelled each other out. They handcuffed each other, and that sort of cancelled them out. And then you had Lizzie Evo squaring off with Riho. That was sort of the dynamic of the match as a whole. And for me personally, I was really rooting for Lizzie Evo to win this. I think she's earned it. I think she deserves a go with the strap, and maybe we'll get that in a one-on-one match with Riho. But yeah, this match was really, really good. A great ladder. I feel like I haven't seen a great ladder match in ages. I can't remember the last ladder match that I saw. But this was really, really good, and it scratched that itch for me of great ladder matches. The first ladder match in Progress Women's history. it was really good, really entertaining. I just think they maybe missed, a bit like Anarchy in the Arena, I feel like they missed that peak maybe when that was just about to like crescendo, if you will. And Riho winning, like I said, Lizzie Evo for me. I think they're going to get matched down the line. I don't really know who Rio's going to face now. She seems like she's beaten a lot of the Progress women's roster. She's obviously beaten Lana Austin, she's beaten Lizzie Evo, she's beaten Nina Samuels. Like, we'll see where this goes, but yeah, this was a really strong ladder match. Just a little bit too long for me. Then we had the interval, and then our first match back was Luke Jacobs taking on Eddie Dennis. This was really, really good. I really enjoyed this. This was Luke. Obviously, he has his style, which is very fast-paced, very nasty, very hard-hitting, and pairing that up with Eddie, who is a very likeable babyface, who has got the fans behind him. It was really, really good and entertaining match. I thought this interference finish worked the most for me because it came out of nowhere. It really did come out of nowhere. You sort of got Eddie Dennis firing up on the outside. It looks like he's going to get the win over Luke Jacobs. He's got a very close near fall off the next stop driver, and he's going around the ring. He's cheering on everyone, and then who should fly in behind the referee's back? Well, actually, the ref got taken out by a ref bump. It is Tate Mayfair. He hits a flying knee on Eddie Dennis, which allows Luke Jacobs to sneak in and pick up the win, advancing to the final. This was a really strong finish. I think Tate Mayfair versus Eddie Dennis is a really exciting feud that I think can play out over a series of events. I don't want to see this blow off at the next show. I think you could do promo battles and stuff with these guys. I think it'll be really, really good leading to a hardcore step. I think they'd work really well together. And Luke advancing to the finals, obviously, completely the right choice. It was utterly, utterly fantastic to see Luke advance. And yeah, really, I enjoyed this a lot. Then we got the other semi-final match, which was Ricky Knight Jr. taking on an injured man like DeReiss. So it was announced sort of by Jerry Bakewell that man like DeReiss can't compete in this match because of an injury. He comes down, he's limping, he can barely stand, and Ricky Knight Jr. is like, come on, man, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to yourself? And then you get a little bit of back and forth in here. Like, DeReiss is completely up in the face of Ricky Knight Jr. He's slapping him, he's hitting him, trying to get him going, and then Ricky Knight Jr. just destroys the poor man. Some hope spots, the really insane kip up into a cutter. We got that on Ricky Knight Jr., but eventually, Rikishi Driver, 1, 2, 3, Ricky Knight Jr. picks up the win, advances to the final. Awesome. I do like how the Shelton Benjamin match played into this a lot. I think it worked in that regard. I don't actually like how it was executed in the other match, but I like how it was executed here in DeReiss having that handicap, and then that can be a story going forward in future strong style tournaments. Yeah, this was really, really fun, really awesome, and I'm excited to see sort of where these guys go from here. Then we got the match for the Progress Atlas Championship as Axel Tischer took on Yoichi for the belt in what was a shock, a really cool banger. The Atlas Championship matches always deliver bangers. I think of Ricky Knight Jr. versus Yoichi, where the title changed hands as an example, and this was no less than that. I think this was a really strong match, a really good showing for Yoichi, who hit a lot of great moves. There was a great near fall at the end when Yoichi hit his near finish, because it didn't finish the match. Insane near fall on Axel Tischer. And it ended up being Axel Tischer picking up the win, a double champ in Progress. I think that's really, really interesting. He's, of course, tag champ and the Atlas champion. Yeah, Yoichi having a short reign, I don't think that hurts him in the slightest. I think there's a lot of things you can do with this. Rematch down the line, that seems like what we're setting up, because they sort of kneeled in front of each other, said 1-1, and then, you know, seemingly set up that match for the future. Not the greatest Atlas Championship match that I've ever seen, but it was a really strong contender for match of the night until the main event. This was a really fun clash. And then we got the Battle Royal. We had the Battle Royal with Gene Money taking on Igor Blanc, taking on Connor Mills, taking on Casey Navarro, taking on Leon Slater, taking on Mike D, taking on Taishi Azawa, taking on TK Cooper. This was what it needed to be. Like, it was fun. It was fun enough. It had all the gags. It had all the laughs. It had a massive chain of people tweaking each other's nipples, which was funny. There was some funny in here, there was some laughs, and then it ultimately came down to G Money and TK Cooper, not to excuse Mike D, who had an awesome spree of offense in this match, but it came down to TK Cooper and G Money, and G Money, the damn dirty dog, like, it looks like TK Cooper's won. They sort of did the Alberto Del Rio Santino Marella spot from the Royal Rumble, where Santino's been on the outside. It looks like TK Cooper's won. And then G Money slides back into the ring, hits a low blow on TK Cooper and eliminates him, unveils a new belt. It was pretty shocking. I didn't think we'd see a heel G Money, and I don't know how to feel about a heel G Money, but I guess we'll see. Maybe this means TK Cooper versus G Money, sort of a Sunshine Machine versus G Money kind of thing going on. I think it's interesting. The belt is a spinner belt, because of course it is, and I don't really know what to think. I think overall it was a pretty standard battle royal. Had some funny spots in that I was laughing to myself about, but yeah, a bit of a palate cleanser before that main event. And then we had that main event as Luke Jacobs took on Ricky Knight Jr. to win Super Strong Style 16 in what was a match of the year contender. This was awesome. This was so good. They've obviously had a match before. I think it was at the Long Halloween, but I cannot remember if that was the exact event, and that was also a goddamn banger. This was insane. There was some insane spots, insane near falls, both men pissing blood. Ricky Knight Jr. got busted open on the steel steps. Luke Jacobs got busted open from a DDT on the floor, which was awesome. And then you just had insane spots, like a Canadian Destroyer from Ricky Knight Jr., which Luke Jacobs no-sold into a flying, almost torpedo Moscow headbutt into Ricky Knight Jr. as he's on the floor. That might be my spot of the weekend, because it was so cool. And then it just near fall after near fall after near fall after near fall. You had a low blow spot from Luke Jacobs, which led to a near fall. I think was that even a kick out of one? I think that might have been the kick out of one. There was a kick out of one spot, which never fails to get me popping. I love a kick out at one spot. It is my favourite thing in professional wrestling. And then, yeah, it just went on and on. 20 minutes of non-stop, hard-hitting, banging action. Like, this was big meaty men slapping man meat, as Big E would say, and it did not disappoint. Luke Jacobs picked up the win. Both men looked destroyed after the end of this. I would not like to be them waking up this morning, because I bet they are sore. And yeah, Luke Jacobs, Super Strong Style 16 winner, the right choice. I can't wait to see the match with Lycos. I can't wait to see the feud with Lycos. I hope it doesn't happen at the next show. I hope there's some breathing room for us to get really cool promos and really cool interactions between the two of them. But yeah, this was a sensational main event. Maybe my favourite match of the entire weekend. King of the Ring, Double or Nothing, Progress. This is probably my favourite match of the weekend, because it was everything I want in pro wrestling, and delivered in spades, and that really ended the show on a high for me. Overall, I give this probably like 3.75. I didn't think it was as good as yesterday's show, but the main event was so strong, and the tournament itself, I think the tournament itself has been really good. I think the way it's been booked has been really good. A few sort of road bumps here and there, but overall I really had a blast with this tournament, and I can't wait to hopefully, fingers crossed, attend Super Strong Style 16 next year. That is on my next year bucket list. So hopefully that will happen. And yeah, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Were you there? Were you not? Have you watched the show? Let me know everything you want. I'll try and reply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.